Welcome to the Jesus Show.
Not that one. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. This week, I talked to my cousin Danny. In the interview with my cousin Danny, I tell him how he's very influential on how and why I got into soccer. We talk about that. We talk about him playing, him coaching, and I get to know things that I never knew about my cousin, and he's been my cousin all of my life. So I hope you guys enjoy it. And oh, yeah, real quick, please make sure you guys are, like I said before, subscribing to the podcast, rating the podcast, following me on Instagram, The Jesus Show NTO. You can follow me on Twitter. It's at Jesus Show NTO. And on YouTube, The Jesus Show NTO. You can go to my Instagram, and my producer, Allie, she had a smart idea. She put the link, I think it's called a link tree, anyways, there's a link in my bio. You can find where to listen to my podcast, or you can click on the YouTube link and then it'll direct you to my YouTube channel. So now that we have that out of the way, let's get into the interview with my cousin, Danny. All right, everybody, we're back with my cousin, Danny Mosaquites. Hey, man, welcome to the show.
What's up? How's it going?
It's going good. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. I'm happy to be here and excited. I've been hearing the podcast previous to this one, and I'm hoping I can blow it up.
I'm sure you'll do fantastic.
Cool.
And then real quick, I want to see the background you have.
Oh,
it's really cool. Legends FC. That's who you work for, correct?
Yes. So that job title there, whatever that means, director of business and Boys North director. So Legends FC out here, and we're actually in Norco, California, which is not too far away from where your mom lives, but Montclair, California, which is about maybe like a 15-minute drive. So we're right next to Ontario. So some people may know Ontario Airport. That's right next to Ontario for sure. So
yeah, when you hopped on, I noticed the background. I was like, whoa, so official. I like it.
Well, we have we're fortunate enough. We have a full staff. We've got a branding, a content guy that basically does all of our social media, our posts. He does stuff like this, where we have our administrative team. Has this nowadays. This is kind of like a must. Like, you got to have some kind of background or something, because a lot of business is conducted on Zoom. It used to be before on over the phone. Now it seems like nobody wants the phone anymore. Everybody wants to see a face, right? So this also helps so that you don't have to not have a picture when you're on Zoom. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah, but
so let me get into
that's our little thing right there, right somewhere right here. One club, one family, one mission.
Oh yeah, I see that. That's tight.
Yeah.
So I want to share a story with you, which I don't think I've ever shared with you.
Okay.
The reason why I got into soccer, the reason why I started playing soccer and watching soccer, is because of you. When I was a kid and you were I believe you were in high school, I started, your dad would call me up and, hey, let's go watch a game. And from what I know about myself, I probably didn't want to do it at first, but because I started going a lot to your games, I started looking forward to them. And then I wanted to play soccer. I know I had played soccer as a little kid, but I don't think I was really into it. And then, like I said, seeing you play and seeing at just, playing in high school, and then seeing you play in college, and just, I remember you played, I think it was like the high school All-Star game, and you played with Nick Ramondo.
Yeah, so Nick was I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, no, he went to Montclair High School, which is where I later went to high school, and I thought, whoa, Danny's playing with these guys. This is amazing. And then
just a little caveat to that, so that you bring that up, because I actually just totally even forgot about that until you brought that up right now. So it's good you did. But in that 97 class, we had some studs in that group. So guys like Carlos Bocanegra was in that team, and
Oh,
Nick
that's
Rodriguez
right.
was on the team, and Matt Evans, which actually coaches with us here. Matt Evans, probably the best player I've ever played against, live, like in person. That's
Yeah.
same age. He landed up playing over at APU when I was over at Cal Poly. But I mean, if you look at that list of if you look at that picture, and I still have that picture somewhere actually,
If you
and I
can
still have that
send
jersey,
send me a picture of that so I can post that. I'd love to
and
do that.
I actually have that jersey still. Was like a crazy like red and whatever messed up like jersey. There was some ballers, and actually the coach from Montclair High School, which I don't know if you knew who that was or not. His guy's name is Gerard Solozano, so it's Solo. Everybody calls him Solo. So
Okay.
he was the high school coach at Montclair, and he was coaching. He was one of the coaches for that game against who put it together, which is Sharif
Oh
Zain, which
wow.
is a big time. Like he's a big time, coach, and he's been in youth soccer for forever. So everybody
Yeah.
knows who Sharif is. But he's
Nice.
the one that actually put on that game, and it was at ELAC. So we played it at ELAC. Was the actual game was played at ELAC?
Where's Elac?
It's off of the 60. It's East Los Angeles College. So that's
Oh,
where
okay.
they played that year. At least that's where they played the game. So again, we had an absolutely stacked team. I think that game we killed the other team. I don't even remember what the score was, but that year when I look at that group, I go, man, there was some absolute just ballers on that team for sure. So funny you say
And
that.
then I remember you were always number 5.
Yeah.
So I thought, watching you, and I thought, oh, I need to be number 5. So I remember a couple teams I was number 5, and then when I got, maybe I was 12 or 13, number 5 wasn't ever available. Like somebody else would take it. So then I was like, well, fuck, what am I supposed to like? What number am I supposed to get now? So I would
10.
usually, I didn't even think about that. So one time they gave me number 12. So I went, okay, 12. Like I didn't associate, like, you were number 5, then Kobe Jones was 13. Um, so those are the two numbers that
Beckham's
really,
23. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, yeah.
like
Yeah.
things that other big names. And I was like, who the fuck's number 12? I was like, fine, whatever, I'll be 12 because it was the only number. And then it started getting into, as I got older, somebody else was 12. So I was like, well, I guess I'll be 13. So then I kept switching back from 12 and 13, 12 and 13, 12 and 13. So that was my sweet spot. But I always wanted to be number 5 because you were number 5. And then, like I
Oh,
said,
wow.
when I got older, then I was like, I'm just gonna give up on that number because nobody wants to give it up.
So the story behind that, and I appreciate that. I didn't know that obviously, but one of the biggest reason why I was number 5 was because there was used to be a player called Michel Platini. So
Mhm.
Michel Platini was number 5, and back in the day, back before when I was a kid, before they even had TVs or anything, and everything was black and white. No, I'm just kidding. When we would watch games, there wasn't like Champions League on, and all of these like EPL and none of that stuff. Even I mean, it existed, but not like that you could watch TV. And plus, we grew up
Yeah.
and we were poor, so it's like we maybe had like a little 2 box and like 10 channels or whatever. we
Yeah.
didn't we didn't have the full array. So I remember in the World Cup. I remember watching the World Cup when I was a little kid and watching this guy Michel Platini that played for France. He was amazing, and I was like, oh man, I like that's my guy. Like I love that guy, and that's how I decided to even get the number 5. So
Oh wow. Okay.
there's a little
See, I didn't know
tidbit
that
of
either.
info. There you
That's
go.
tight.
We've known each other our whole lives. We're
We've
talking
never
about things
talked
we don't
about
even know,
that.
eh?
It
So
took a
that's cool, but
podcast for us to connect a little more.
yeah, and if you want to go a little deeper into that, which I don't know if you want me to or not, but
Yeah, of course.
numbers used to be positions on the field. So like if you were a 2, if you were number 2, you were like the right back. If you were number 3, you were the left back. If you were a 10, you were the like creative forward or midfielder or whatever. So um back in the day, it wasn't like now where guys were like, guys now were like 33 and like
Yeah.
45 or whatever. It used to be where you like get a number because that's based on your position. And so I was, when I growing up, I was always kind of like a defender. So 5 always actually kind of match that too. So
Oh, okay. Now,
just a
do they
little.
still use? I know they refer to players in a position like they'll say, "Oh, he's a number 2, but he'll be wearing number, I don't know, number 12 or 30."
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not
So
that's not necessarily still a thing where a player will wear a number because of where they play.
yeah. Oh no, no, absolutely. I mean, when you, I mean, the greatest, clubs in the world, the Real Madrids, the Manchester Uniteds, they have their own specific numbers. Like if there's a guy that's coming up through the ranks and they think he's special,
Yeah.
he'll start off with whatever their number is, which is, in the academy ranks. So they range up from 1 to whatever 60 or 100 or whatever, right? So you could in the amateur ranks be number 43, but this kid's really coming up and he's a true 9. Like that's the out and out striker, the forward.
Yeah.
And if he gets that 9 number, then that's like a huge deal. So like for instance, I don't know if you know this or not, but like Cristiano Ronaldo, he was always number 7, right? Because the
Mhm.
7 is the right winger. Cristiano Ronaldo was one of the first with Messi on board, one of the first prominent guys that actually switched to the opposite side. So the 7 is actually like what would be like a right midfielder, right?
Yeah.
Because he's right footed. But for Manchester United, he actually played on the left side. And now, so he was the number 7, played on the left side, and he was a left winger, which is technically the number 11 position wise. Um,
Ah, okay.
but so many great players like David Beckham and George Best and all these guys had the number 7 at Manchester United. So they kind of knew he was going to be a pretty big deal when he
Yeah.
came on board because they gave him the 7. But when he went to Real Madrid, they wanted to give him the 9. So I think for the first or 2 years, he actually wore the number 9, but he wasn't really an actual forward at that time. He was still like a winger.
Yeah.
But who had number 7 was Luis Figo. And
Oh,
you're not
yeah,
gonna take
no.
number 7 away from Luis Figo.
Yeah, he's a legend.
So
Yeah.
so they had to wait until Figo was out of there, and then they transitioned, Cristiano Ronaldo to the number, his true number, which is
And
number 7. But
Figo's Portuguese like he is, correct?
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. No, Figo's he's the dude. He's the man. I mean, before Cristiano Ronaldo, they had I think the goal scoring, like he held the record. I can't remember what the guy's name is, but he was a Portuguese like forward.
Mhm.
But Figo was like the guy after him. So before Cristiano Ronaldo, Figo was like their best, player, and
Yeah.
obviously he's playing on Real Madrid, so he's no chump. But
Yeah, of course.
yeah, that's just, sorry, I got a little too into
No, no, that
numbers
was
and
good. I like that.
position. I can talk about that all day long, but as you know, I'm a historian of sports in general, but
Yes.
soccer definitely for sure. So
So
sorry.
how did you get into soccer?
Um, honestly, man, my parents when I was growing up just kind of put us in all kinds of sports. We played. My dad, my pops never played soccer before. Nor did my mom. Mom,
Yeah.
definitely my mom. I don't know if she played any sports, but my pops never played that. I think he just was like, "Hey, I'm gonna keep these guys like doing something," and so ASO just came on board. I was really fortunate when I started ASO. Like I think my second or third year in, um, my dad is, as you know, is a pretty sharp guy. He found one of the coaches that was, a really good coach. And even though
Mhm.
my dad didn't really know much about it, he was like, I want my kid to play like for that guy, like, Luis Medrano was his name, is his name. He's still alive today. And My dad went and talked to him and just said, hey, I'd like to get my kid to come and play. And back then you could get the head coach and the assistant coach, you could be on the same team. So my dad just said, "Hey, I'll be your assistant.
Oh,
I want you
okay.
to coach my kid." So my dad was the assistant coach,
Yeah.
in quotes, because he really he didn't know anything about soccer, but he helped with kind of the logistics and the parents and whatever. So that's how I started. And he was actually old school, played in Mexico. He's the guy that actually took us, the whole team, to go watch this Mexican team called Aguilas, when they were playing, I think they were playing in like Downey or something like that. He took us to a game, and
Oh, wow.
I think that day kind of changed my life now looking back at it, because I didn't even really know anything about soccer. But when we went to that game, I just remember these people were just absolute like fanatics, man. Like the stands were shaking, people were throwing beers
Oh
everywhere.
shit.
Like it was crazy. And I remember we were all there, and obviously, our parents, my dad was there too, but my dad had never experienced anything like that either,
Yeah.
So after that game, I just remember like I just love the fact that people were just going crazy for their team, and I didn't even know either of the teams that were playing.
Yeah.
I was just there because my coach that I had wanted to just take some of the kids to the game. So that's, yeah, I mean, that's really kind of how I got into it. But growing up, as you know, dude, I played like all kinds of sports. I played basketball, football, baseball, so obviously soccer. Um, the reason why I actually landed up playing soccer was because um, my eighth grade year, I was playing tackle football,
Okay.
junior all American, and one of the guys on my own team did what's called speared me in my back,
Ooh.
and yeah, and so then I started having some back issues. Went to a specialist. Initially, the specialist told me I was never going to play sports again because I had
Whoa.
slipped one of my discs in my back. See, you didn't even know this, and
Damn. How
we
old
were
were
up
you?
together. I was probably like what, right before going into high school, so maybe like I don't know, 13 years old or something like
Shit,
that.
man.
13,
Okay.
14 years old. So, I had been having, like just some pain or whatever, but I thought it was just I needed a stretch or maybe muscular or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I found out it was a like a slip disc in my lower like vertebrae or whatever. And so I remember that doctor's appointment was not fun at all. It was Dr. Hale. My parents still remember to this day. And when he said, you're gonna have to have surgery, and we may need to fuse some of your vertebrae, and you're not gonna be able to play ever again. Like
Dude,
we were
crazy.
just we were just like, what? Like I was super active, and my parents weren't expecting that either. So I remember getting
Yeah.
out of that doctor's appointment. We were just crying. Like all of us just left the room, just like bawling. And I remember the doctor. Um, he was just like cold. He was just like, he was just like, oh, just another day. Like, we'll just set up your surgery, and
Yeah.
we'll get you physical therapy, and you'll be good to go. But you won't be able to play ever again. And we were like, what?
Damn.
So then from there, my dad um, got me to some other specialist, a guy that was working for the Rams in Newport Beach. We got a second opinion. Luckily, we did. He put me on a like a physical, therapy regimen, um, and fortunately, I was able to play. But he discouraged me from playing football because he said, obviously, that's probably not good for your health.
Yeah.
But he did give me the green light to play soccer, and that's ultimately why I ended up playing soccer in high school and in college.
Ah, okay.
So it actually landed up being, as you know, right, something that you think is catastrophic at the time,
Yeah.
right? Like, oh my God, my world's ending. I can't play, do anything. To now, it kind of just led me into the path that I should have been in, which was playing soccer and only playing soccer. So
Yeah.
that's the reason why I was able to, to play in high school, and fortunately play in college too. So,
Damn, that's crazy. See something else I didn't know. Wow.
aha, see, and we lived like 2 minutes from each other.
Right? Jeez.
It's crazy, man. Yeah.
So then, growing up, what teams? I know you followed Manchester United,
Yeah.
and that's another reason why I follow Manchester United is because when I was younger, I saw you with the jersey and you would talk about Manchester United. And I mean, I'm younger than you. I'm not a whole
Yeah.
lot younger than you, but I'm younger than you. And I just saw,
Yeah.
like, I was like, oh, you're the authority on what good soccer is. Okay, I like Manchester United because I've had some people
Yeah.
ask me now, oh, how'd you start watching Manchester United? I go, oh, my cousin Danny. They go, yeah, but what was it? I go, I saw the fucking red shirt. He said, you know, Beckham, Solskjaer, um, all those other
Keane,
guys.
all those
Yeah,
guys. Yeah,
Keane.
man. Roy Keane. Yeah. I mean, the list goes on. That was a golden age for Manchester United. So,
Yeah. And I'm like, those guys. And they go, yeah, but did you know? And I go, at the time, I didn't know shit. I just knew Danny likes them. So
Yeah.
I like them. So
Yeah.
how is it that you found out about these teams? Because like you were saying, growing up, we didn't have all these channels.
Yeah.
So what was it, and how did you come to find out about these teams?
Yeah, so that I mean that's a funny story too. So I don't know if you remember or not, but I had my best buddy growing in high school was this guy named Reno. His name actually wasn't
Yeah,
Reno, but
yeah. I
his name was Ryan
remember.
Porhasinian, but everybody called him Reno, right? So him and I were like, sticks and thieves. We hung out, trained together, morning, afternoon, night, like we trained all the time. And the first time that I actually really saw European soccer was actually at his house. So he had one of those like black boxes that you could get like a bunch of channels, and
Oh, okay.
you didn't pay. Back then, like there was no, or if there was, I didn't know anything about that. But he had this like black box, and you could get EPL, you could get games from Holland, from all over the world basically,
Yeah.
and his team was always Liverpool. So
Oh,
he
okay.
he would always want to watch Liverpool, and when I just started watching it at time, um, Manchester United was like the standard. They were the gold standard. I mean, that's the golden age. You got Beckham, you got Nicky Butt, you got Scholes, you got Ryan Giggs, you've got all the way up to Vidic and all these guys, right? So I would watch them play, and I was like, man, and of course they're winning championships, and
Yeah.
their coaches. I mean, what's there not to like, right? So
Yeah.
I just kind of like was like, okay, hey, Liverpool's your team. Manchester United, that's gonna be my, like, I don't know, but
Yeah.
everybody likes obviously winners. So I kind of just I kind of just ran into it because of a buddy of mine, just him. And then when we'd go to their house, anytime they'd play, obviously any EPL games was that was everything,
Yeah.
so I was whatever 15, 16, 17 years old and watching some of those games. And like I said before, I love sports, so like I'm a numbers guy. So like when you see 18 championships, and they're going undefeated, and they're doing all these things, it's like, man, that's awesome. So I think that, and also they're the most at the time, and maybe even still today, they're like the most marketable brand in soccer in the world. So they're up there with
Okay.
Real Madrid and the Barcelonas, and so it was easier to get their stuff. Like, it was easier for me to go to the store and get a Manchester United jersey than it would
Yeah.
have been to get a Tottenham jersey, or a,
Yes,
I don't
true.
know, whatever, Lister, or whatever, whoever else you want to put in there. There was more of that gear at that time to buy.
Mhm.
And I remember the shirt that you're talking about, because I freaking love that thing, man. I used to wear it like all the time, right? So like, I think I got that for birthday or something, and I
Yeah.
used to wear it into the ground because you, as you're Galaxy, or your teams, like you get those jerseys or shirts or whatever, and it means more than just a jersey,
Yeah. Yeah, of
right?
course.
Like, it gives you feelings, it gives you moments in your life that you're like, oh, dude, remember when so and so scored this, or they won
Yeah.
this? Like, this was the jersey they were wearing, or this is what I was wearing when they did XYZ. So that's the love of that's the love of the game.
Speaking of love of the game and things that mean a lot, you took me and Greg to a Galaxy game when they
Yeah.
were playing in the Rose Bowl. And there's two stories. The one is
I
I
remember this.
remember
Yeah.
I remember you took us, and you got us vuvuzelas, and we were going
You didn't even know what
ham.
vuvuzelas were, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know. We saw it, and you were like, "You want one?" We were like, "Yeah, okay." And then we were like, "Dude, this is," because we're younger. We wanted to make noise, and we were making noise
Yeah.
the whole damn game.
Yeah.
And second half comes around, and Tony Miola, who was playing for the Kansas City Wiz
Yeah.
at the time, he was close to us, and we were heckling him the whole second half, just going at him, and people around us were laughing. And then towards the end of the game, I remember he turns to us and he just gives us one of these, like, mm. And then we started going crazy because I thought, oh my God, a professional athlete just looked at us and gave us like just he's sick of it already. And
Yeah.
they're losing. And it was,
Yeah.
like almost the 90th minute.
Right.
One of the greatest experiences And then the second time you took us, they were passing out those like inflatable things you slam together to make noise. Do you remember
Oh
that?
yeah. The slapsticks. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they, you know, they're like they're plastic. You blow them up, they make the noise. And after the game, you got us close enough to the field that Mauricio Cienfuegos and Ezra
Yeah.
Hendrickson signed it for me, signed one
Mhm.
of the things.
Yeah.
And I would show everybody that. Anybody that came into the house, hey, you want to see something cool? Like, oh, what? I was like, so my cousin Danny took me to the Galaxy game, and I met Ezra Henderson and Mauricio Cienfuegos. Yeah, this is their signature. And I'd have it on my dresser. And then, like I said, anywhere I could take it, I would. And sometimes my mom would say, What are you doing with that? I go, oh, I want to show. She's like, who are you going to show? Anybody that would listen, I guess. But it meant the world to me, because it was, you know, that's how I started watching the Galaxy. And I always thought, you know, these European teams are amazing. They're great.
Yeah.
But then now to see a team that we can drive to and go watch was, I mean, unheard of, because we didn't grow up with that.
Yeah.
So
we weren't considered quote unquote a soccer family, if you will, right? Like that wasn't something that was, you know, instilled in us since we were little kids. But yeah, I remember that. I remember that vividly. And to just add another little layer to that, so Tony Miola, for those that know or may not know, he was also the national team goalkeeper. So it wasn't like this is just like a Joe Blow. This is like, at the time he had the hair, he had the, like the
long ponytail. I remember that.
So it wasn't like, it was some scrub like goalkeeper. This guy was, he was recognizable. You could see him on TV, and I remember we had a great time, and it was cool. So yeah, absolutely.
And touching on real quick on that subject, that we weren't a soccer family. A lot of people growing up would always ask me, am I going to play baseball? Because everybody would tell me,
of course, yeah.
Everybody tell me, oh, you're so big, and your Cuban roots. You guys all play baseball. So when I would tell people, oh, I play soccer, they go, why? I go, because I love it. And they go, yeah, but I mean, isn't there anything in you? Isn't your Cuban side telling you need to play baseball? And I go, no, not at all. Nothing is telling me that I need to play baseball.
Yeah, I got that a lot growing up too. Everybody always assumed, I guess, I was Mexican or whatever, and I'm like, no, dude, I'm Cuban. Like, I'm half Cuban, half Panamanian. They're like, what? Yeah. Like, you should be playing baseball or boxing or something, right? But yeah, that was just never. I mean, I know I played growing up, but it wasn't something that, like, you're born with and, like, you're all about. So I think to our credit, to your credit, I think we're the kind of the first generation, if you will, of in our family at least, to have those like soccer roots, that we actually can have conversations about it and talk about it, because it is, man, it's a beautiful game. It's the world language. I think I probably realized that more than ever a couple summers ago when I went to Spain, to Barcelona.
Oh, that's right, you went on the trip. But you guys went. The trip was because your boys were playing, right?
Yeah. So we it was twofold. So yes, that is correct. So I had a boys team, an 04 team, that we got into a tournament out there. It's called the Iber Cup, which is kind of a Iber, IBER, Iber Cup. Yeah, so it's a pretty well known. It's like a huge circuit throughout Europe, and they're in Brazil and all that. And basically, that's all this company does, is they go around and they put on these these tournaments from teams from all over the world. So initially that was the main reason why we went, because I just kind of wanted to show. I had taken trips and stuff before to go and take teams to play, and I played as well too, but I thought it was just it would be a good cultural experience, especially going to Spain. I mean, what's not good about that, right? So when we went over there, we also had a company that actually somebody put me in touch with a company that we did the arrangements with,
Hmm.
and they were first class, man. They were awesome. They basically kind of put the entire um, uh, trip together for us. They had people that were there with us, kind of guiding us through the whole process, and it was a blast, man. It was super fun. Over there, the main thing is it's not just a game. It's like there, it's really like part of their culture. Like there's families, there's people that like there being a coach is not like here, where here it's kind of like a paycheck, and
Yeah.
like a lot of people just want to do it to get paid. Over there, if you're a coach, you're like the man. Like yes, you're getting paid for it, but it's not like there. It's really like the cream of the crop. So if you're a coach there and you're coaching some of the academies and stuff there, like you're legit. You're
Yeah.
the man. So, um,
Well, I
sorry,
can only
like
imagine
well,
because in their academies, that's how players go up. You start at, if you're starting at the Barcelona Academy, if you're, young, as you go through the ranks, especially if they're a good player, um, they could be at the senior team at one point, and then you can say, "Oh yeah, I coached Messi when he was, 10."
well, there
But
they have the world renowned La Masia, right? So they have one of the probably the if not the most prominent, one of the most prominent academies in history there. I mean, Johan Cruyff, went through there and kind of gave them their structure. So, I mean, just visiting the Camp Nou and going in there, that basically like that stadium is like a museum, because we took the tour of everything. We got to go on the
yeah,
field, but you go in there and you see all the trophies and all the history and all the, I mean, if you go through that, and I took my wife and my kids, Janice and the girls went with us, and they really know nothing about soccer, and even they were like jaw dropping, like, wow, this is amazing. Like you could just feel it's more of like if you were to go there, hopefully one day you get to go, it's amazing.
I would
Like
love
you
to
would
go.
just you'd want to like lay down and just like die there. Like, man, this is the it doesn't get any better from a true football purist place. Like if you haven't never been there, I absolutely, that's got to be one of your it wasn't even a bucket list of mine,
Yeah,
and it became one after we went there. I'm like, going to the Theater of Dreams, Old Trafford is one. This is like one B for me. You know what I mean? So that's cool. But
one thing that, talking about stadiums, one of the places, one of the stadiums I went to was at the Azteca down in Mexico
yeah,
City.
definitely, yeah.
And my buddy Jonah, he asked me, "Hey, our friend, uh, our friend Bruno, Bruno Valdez, and Cecilio Dominguez were playing for America. Cecilio is now playing for Austin, but Bruno's still down there." So he said,
Matthew
"Hey,
McConaughey's team, huh?
yeah, yeah." So he goes, "Hey, we should go down and watch the guys." And I said, "Okay." So we fly out there. And I'm not really thinking about the stadium. I'm just thinking, okay, we're gonna go see our friends play, right? But I had never been there before. And then I see the stadium as we're walking up. I'm like, oh shit, this is the Azteca. Like many, many, many great games have been played there. But most notably for me, a lot of US versus Mexico games have been played in
Yeah,
there. A lot of
yeah.
highly contested games. I was like, oh shit. So we go inside and we sit down, and then I just start looking at the stadium. And I'm like, oh my God, this place is enormous. Like it holds 100,000 people.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like soaking it all in. And Jonah kind of looks over at me. He's like, hey man, are you okay? Because I'm sitting there and I'm just like, we're at the Azteca. He goes, yeah, I told you we were coming here. It's like, yeah, but like it's hitting me now what this place means.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the
And
holy
then
grail. Yeah.
just to watch a game, and then what, I think a year later we went to go see Cruz Azul and America in the final, which was cool because
Clásico, yeah.
our friend Pablo Aguilar was playing for Cruz Azul, which he's still playing. And
Yeah.
then, Cecilio and Bruno were on the other side. So it was cool to see two friends playing a final. play
Yeah.
at the Azteca for two of the biggest clubs in Mexico. And again,
Yeah.
like you have all the people, and I'm like, fuck, man, this is really cool. And I can only imagine, like, I would love to go see, the Camp Nou. I would love to go see Santiago Bernabeu where Real
Oh
Madrid
yeah.
play. I would love to go
Yeah.
see the Theater of Dreams. These are places I want to see because, you see them on TV, but then once you get there, you're like, oh shit, like this is crazy to be here.
Yeah.
And I remember you
Yeah.
showing me the pictures when you guys got back from Barcelona.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's forever. Like, there's a picture where we're right in front of the like entrance, and it says FC Barcelona on top. And I mean, we like I said, it was amazing. Quick story on the Def or on Azteca. So Clay Coyman, which is actually one of our coaches here for Legends, he played for the men's national team, but he also played in Mexico for a lot of times. They call him El Capi. He's like, I
Okay.
don't know if you know who Clay is, but if you look him up, I mean, like we get still people here today that bring their kids to come and play, and they see Clay and they're like, like
Really?
they like,
Oh,
yeah,
that's cool.
they go crazy because he's and he's just super 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 cool and nice guy. But he tells us some stories about when he was playing in Mexico, and he was like, you know back then, this was probably like in the 80s, maybe late 80s, 80, period,
Mhm.
um that they would play, and like what their contracts consisted of and what they were getting paid, and then what they'd really get paid. So
Yeah.
like, you know if you were playing in America, or you were playing, I think he played for Cruz Azul, I believe. And if you were playing against an America, or you were playing against somebody, and you won, like the owners would say, hey, you win, like 10 grand. Everybody gets 10 grand. Or hey, you win, you get whatever, 25 grand or whatever.
Yeah.
And he goes, and I never even thought about that kind of stuff. And he goes, we'd win games, dude, and I'd come back to my hotel room or my apartment or whatever, and I'd have like a duffel bag just full of like cash. And he's like, dude, it was crazy. Like, the again, the fanaticism, the passion that people have. Forget, the money aside, obviously it's nice and all that, but just playing there for the couple of years that he did, he's known as like, a super god legend.
Yeah.
So he's it's a different thing in other countries. I think we're building to that here. I don't know that we'll ever get to like a place like a Spain or something, because we have
Yeah.
so many sports to compete, against, like the footballs and the basketballs and the top three or whatever. But I love to see the Seattle Sounders. I love to see, like these venues that people are just going crazy, man. I think it's
Yeah.
awesome. So
Yeah. And I'm excited to see Austin come in this
I
year.
think, actually, man, I think I got some buddies of mine out there in Austin as well too, and I think they're gonna be good. I mean, one of the guys that we were talking about in that high school team, Carlos Bocanegra, which played for the national team and played in the
Yeah.
MLS and also played in Europe. I think he's I don't know what his exact title is, but I think he's like the general manager over there at Atlanta United.
Yes.
So he helped build that thing down there, which is great. But Austin's got some good pieces in there, and yeah, I'm excited, and I think they have the fan base already. I think
Yeah.
like they've got a lot of people that have been, I know they have Dallas there, and Dallas, by the way, is one of the best run clubs, and their youth program is ridiculous there. I mean, they're pumping out legitimate professional players like left and right out of
They
there
just
too.
sold.
So
They just sold one of their young players to Europe.
yep,
I want to say
yeah.
Juventus, but I could be wrong. I
I
don't know.
don't I don't
I
know
don't know
the
who they sold them to, but I know there was like breaking news on MLS.com.
They're
Uh,
known for their academy system. I mean, they put out some really really good players for sure. So
so I wanted to ask you, when you were playing high school ball,
uh-huh.
how was going into playing college? What was the difference that you saw between the high school game and the college game?
I think it was my freshman year. I just actually had this conversation with somebody a couple of days ago, which is funny you asked that. But I knew that college was a totally different game.
Yeah.
My first year, we played this school called Grand Canyon, and it's a Christian school. It's still, I mean, it's obviously still there, and it was in preseason, so I was over at Cal Poly, and I had a bunch of my buddies that we basically played with in club, and actually like 4 or 5 of my buddies from club made the transition to go over to to play at Cal Poly, which is great, right? And we actually had a pretty good team. We weren't known as a very good team, but like my freshman and sophomore years, like that was kind of the new start of that program. Now that program's flying. I mean, they got a really good program there. But back then, Cal Poly wasn't known as like a good soccer school.
Yeah.
But I kind of felt like we were the start of a some talent that went through there. And I remember us playing. We went to Phoenix, and we played Grand Canyon. And our coach, Carlos Suarez, which actually, funny enough, coaches for us now here as well too. He said, "Hey, look, man, we're gonna go there. It's a business trip. For a lot of us, it was the first time kind of doing the whole trips and all that." And he goes, "I don't want anybody drinking the water because the water was like horrible." And he said, "Make sure you guys are ready to play. These guys are gonna be tough."
Yeah.
And so we went out there, and I remember seeing this guy that was their All American. He was an absolute just tank, dude. I mean, this guy was like 28 years old. I think he was like Mormon and went on a mission and came back or something. And this guy was like, I mean, he was just like he was like a grown man, like
Yeah.
it seemed like he was a man and we were all boys. and we thought we were really good. And
Yeah.
like our coach was even like, we can't let this guy beat us, blah blah blah, this that whatever. I mean, that game, I think he reined up and just like got a header. Like it looked like he was in slow motion, like coming and just. I mean, we tried to foul him, we tried to kick him, we tried to pull like anything you could think of, and
Yeah.
we were just like shedding off this guy. And that's when I was like, I had never experienced that before. I was like, this is this is definitely different, right? Like
Yeah.
this guy is an All-American, obviously for a reason. He's probably going to play in the MLS somewhere, which I think actually he did end up playing in the MLS at some point. But yeah, I mean the speed of play was a little bit was a little bit faster for sure. I was fortunate enough in my club life that I played at a pretty high level, so it wasn't too bad. We won a couple national championships as a club team, but as far as like, you can't substitute strength, speed, and size, which
Yeah.
only just heightens when you get into the professional ranks, right? So, if you think in college if you think in high school you're a good player, when you get to college, it's a different level, and then when you get to the pros, it's a totally different level, right?
Yeah.
So, speaking of that, I think from when I was a high school player transitioning into college, as opposed to where the kids are now in this day and age with youth soccer, and how much more skilled they are going into college, is like it's it's night and day difference. Like, you have little 10-year-old kids doing a double scissor exit, like, and I didn't even know what that was until I was like 16 years
Yeah.
old. So you got these little ballers out here, going crazy. And the game has come a long way in the last 15, 20 years.
Oh, of
Yeah,
course.
for
One of
sure.
the other really good memories that I have with you as growing up playing soccer is I remember you would invite me. There were some summers, and it was usually in the summer.
Yeah.
You'd invite me to come play with you and some of your older friends.
Yeah.
And I remember a couple times we played, I believe Brian Dunset was there.
Yep.
And
I was just gonna say,
I was like,
Dunny
oh
was there.
shit. Because you guys were telling me, oh yeah, he just signed with Real Salt Lake.
Yep.
And I was like, whoa, he's a professional. And we played with some other guys.
He
And
does the color commentating for RSL now.
yes, which he's one of.
the-
I'm not a fan of RSL because
Right.
they knocked
You
the
just
Galaxy
can't.
out of the 2009 MLS final.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love Nick Raimondo. He's a great goalkeeper. He ended his career with Salt Lake. And when I do watch Real Salt Lake's games and Dunset is announcing, I like it. Just because I remember, oh hey, I played against him a couple times. Not only that, and I think he does a really good job. Uh, but growing up, I was like, whoa. And then as a kid, I thought, oh, I did well. And then as I got older, I went, oh, they were letting me do well because they can do whatever they want. So, okay.
It's a different level. Yeah, it's a different level. And Dunny's a really cool guy. And just little note on that. So you were playing against guys in like, so Reno and I were like the youngest kids that were there. We were like the little brothers that just kind of like tagged along with like an older group, right?
Yeah.
But there was another guy there named Joey Franchino and another guy named there Joey
Oh, yes.
DiGiannarino.
Yes.
All of those guys, by the way, played in the MLS.
Yes.
Just as an FYI. So when you thought we were just playing like backyard pickup, like blah blah blah, you were actually playing against guys that potentially played in the MLS. So it
Yes.
wasn't like, you're not a scrub. Obviously, you're good, but when you compare yourselves to those guys, you realize you're not that good, right?
It wasn't until I got older where, like, I remember seeing Joey Franchino when he was playing with the Revolution.
Mhm.
And you were like, oh, hey, we played with that guy, remember? And I went, oh, yeah. And I went, oh, shit, that guy?
Yeah, you don't really like realize it until you actually see it, and you're like, oh my god, yeah.
No. But yeah, that, I mean, I loved doing that. And I know it helped me with my development because then because there was things that I'd see you guys do.
Yeah.
I was like, huh. And then, I'd go practice and it was either dribbling or, some sort of step over move, and I wouldn't always execute it perfectly, but I was like, oh, well, I saw them do it. Let me see if I can try to, and then just,
We actually had some of
especially,
the. Oh, go ahead.
no, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say we actually had some of the best games in your front yard.
Oh yeah.
Remember,
Oh,
we just set up. You had like the perfect setup where the gates were perfect, and we had goals on each side, and we played 3-on-3, 2-on-2.
oh yeah.
Like,
Well, now that my
yeah,
mom, now that they put the fucking driveway there, I'm like, you guys, I told my mom, I said, you ruined it. And she's
yeah.
like, well, no, we needed a place to park the car. I'm like, that's why there's a street and there's a back. I was like, what the hell? I was like, this used to be the best place to play soccer.
Yeah. It was. It was. I mean, every family, right? I mean, we were there all the time, but like, we just rolled the ball out and hey, let's go. Like, we had
So much
everything
fun.
we needed already set up there, and then we had the obstacles of the trees. Like, we don't have to go around.
That's right. I
So it
remember
was cool.
petitioning my mom so hard. Mom, we have to get rid of these trees so
Yeah.
that we can have like a good legit
Full on.
soccer
Yeah.
field.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. I was like, come on, mom, we have to get rid of them. And then now they're gone. And I'm like, of course they're gone now. Like, oh, but
When
you know
we
what?
didn't
Those
want to.
trees saved me a lot because there was a couple times where I would shoot the ball because I'd always make Greg be the goalie. He hated being the goalie when we play up front. I go,
I
Greg,
love it.
you're goalie. So he, okay. And I mean, I would kick the ball. Poor kid. But there was a couple times where,
Greg, by the way, is his younger brother.
yes, Greg's my younger brother. But I would kick the ball, and I'm still a kid. I'm still trying to figure out how to aim the ball when I'm shooting. Dude,
Yeah.
a couple times the ball would hit the tree, and thankfully it would hit the tree. If not, I would have broken 50 windows. Like, oh, but yeah, dude, I remember that was so much fun. Going around the trees, dribbling it, using it as a
Yeah, I
defender.
mean, and we used to have all the cousins. Like, that was the thing, is that, girls, boys, whatever, your sister, everybody would get in and just play, and it wasn't so like rule, specific. Like, if I ask my girls to play that in the front yard now, there's got to be like, a whole like, litany of like, we have to have a rules plan, and then we have to put out cones, and we got to
Yeah,
put out goals. It's like, can we just play? Like, can we
yeah,
just
yeah.
roll the ball out and just play?
Just let the ball
But
roll and see what happens.
yeah,
Yeah.
man, that's the best for sure.
So how did you? So you finished your college playing days, right?
Yep.
When did you know, or did you always feel like, oh, I want to go into coaching?
Well, actually, I actually started coaching the my freshman year in college. So my high school team, I went to Damien High School. Shout out to Damien High School in Laverne, California.
Hey,
Um, Yeah. My high school team, when I graduated from high school and went to Cal Poly, I actually went back the very next year and was kind of like an assistant coach, if you will, because the same coach that I had my senior year was the coach then, still. So I started, kind of helping out with high school, and then my coach actually said, "Hey, I think you'd be a good coach." And he coached club soccer. So his name's Susano Lopez, which actually coaches for our club right now.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, you notice a pattern, right? So people are connected big time. But so he actually coaches for our club now. But back then he said, "Hey, I think you do good. You can come and kind of help me out." And so I didn't make a ton of money. I was still playing in college and working and stuff, but I just love the game so much that I just
Yeah.
went out. I don't even know if I got paid, to be honest with you, for the first, you know, I don't know, maybe the first year, whatever. I was just out there just helping, doing fitness, whatever I could do. And then it kind of morphed into me doing it, just getting paid because I love doing it. And I I think, yeah, that was my it just helped me continue my passion for the game, because it's a different skill set for sure. I think playing is definitely fulfilling, and I still played even after that. I mean, I had a good core group of buddies that we did. We had a semi-pro team, and we'd play in the Budweiser Cups, and just stuff that would come up. But it wasn't
Yeah.
like it wasn't like obviously a professional team or whatever. But coaching gave me the opportunity to still stay in tune with the game, and also teach teach kids how to play and to fall in love with the game, which is what hopefully I'm still doing even today. So
Yeah.
um, it's definitely a different skill set, but I think the transition from playing to coaching, um, you can be a good player and not be a very good coach, and you can be a very
Yeah.
good coach and not a very good player. So we have guys that are absolute ballers when they play, and they just don't know how to teach the game. So um, I'm soccer has given me um, a lot of things in life. I mean, I could the list is far and wide, right? I mean,
Yeah.
now I work for a club, right? It's my dream, right? My dream job is being able to do this for a living, and be able to support my family, which I'm able to do, thankfully. But that doesn't come for everybody. I
Yeah.
think it manifests itself in different ways, like for you, right? Like I've heard in your other podcast, which by the way, I'm super proud of you, and I think you're doing a great job
Thank you.
with the program, and I thank you for allowing me to come on, and hopefully come back at some point. But
Oh, of
I think
course.
I think it manifests itself in many ways. Like for you, it seems like this is something that is your coaching, right? Like you get to talk about, like it just seems like you and I are just talking shop, right? Because we love the game so much, and we have the
Yeah.
connection, we're cousins and whatnot, but it doesn't really feel like work. When you can find that, that's when you have your dream job. And that's how I
Yeah.
feel now. That's how passionate I am about what I do, is that you know I think we're one of the best clubs in the country, and I'll put our staff against anybody and our teams against anybody, and I do put in some long hours and do, but I love it. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it for the world, so it seems like you've kind of found, or you're finding your way in that niche. So super proud of
Yeah.
you, man. You're doing a great job. So
Thank you. I appreciate that.
yeah.
I was gonna ask you what kind of coach are you? Because I've had coaches.
Depends on who you ask.
I've had
I'm
coaches.
sure.
I've had coaches yell a lot. Um, which I mean, I react positively to that depending on
Mhm.
the kind of yelling. If it's berating, that's different.
Yeah.
Like I've had coaches tell me like, "Hey, get your head out of your ass," and sometimes I need to hear that, and I'm like, "Yeah, okay, you're right." And there's other coaches that I've had that are kind of soft spoken, but they're more like, "Hey, look, make sure you don't let that player get on their left." And it's a little calmer, and I respond to that as well. Oops, sorry, I hit the mic. And then when I was coaching, I was I was never one to yell at my players, but I would definitely yell across the field because I needed to yell out instructions. So that's why, like, what kind of coach are you?
Well, I'll, there's no one answer to that because
Uh-huh.
I think when I started, I was definitely a different coach than I am today. So I mean, I've been doing this now for 20 something 23 years or whatever, right? So I would hope that I'm a better coach today than I was when I first started, but the to not give you the whole history of that, but I think the type of coach that I am now is more um just you know yeah, I used to be a yeller for sure. When I first started, I was definitely a yeller because you just kind of want to get your point across,
Yeah.
and you're in the moment, and you're trying to maybe feel like you're impacting the game and yelling or pumping up your guys or whatever the case is, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's a little more old school way of doing things, and that's how I was brought up. Like my coach, anyway. So like Luis Medrano, he was nobody better, man. Like that guy used to just give you that the blow dryer treatment, right? Like it was, the entire game. It seemed like it was just yelling at you.
I like that, the blow dryer treatment.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, um, but I think now it's more. I see the bigger picture. I see in club soccer. I've seen kids go from 8 years old to now playing college and doing great things and being part of their family. And I think the best way that I can describe it is I think before I used to think like, hey, I'm just focused on my little circle and my team and making them the best that I can and winning everything under the sun and kind of at all cost type of thing. And now my goals are different for the kids where I think I'm a lot more about the development of the player at where they are. And coaching little guys to coaching olders is a different skill set too, but
Yeah.
I think I have a better understanding of the landscape of what soccer is, and my goal for them is to get them to college. And so I'm not about you have to be the best 9-year-old player or the best 10-year-old player, whatever. I'm more about what's the family like, what's the structure like, what's the kid like, you know, are they coachable, like all those things. Because I can teach them so much, but if I have somebody that doesn't want to learn or refuses to learn, kind of thing, and they're a baller, I'd kind of rather them not be
Yeah.
here and go somewhere else,
Yeah.
because I'd rather have kids that I can kind of mold and get to where I want them to be, so that they can get to that ultimate goal. Because I think the most fulfilling thing for me in my life was playing college, even though at the time when I first started, I didn't even know that that was an option. Like back in the day, you didn't really hear about, like, obviously I'm older than you, but nobody really talked about playing in college, right? Like
Yeah.
playing professional was like, you
The
know,
thing. Yeah.
that was a thing, and that was like, if like if you knew somebody that played professional, you were like, oh my god, that's crazy. But it wasn't tangible, you know what I mean? It wasn't something like you really believed that you could do. It was kind of
Yeah.
one in a billion or whatever, so um long story short, what type of a coach I am, I hope I'm the type of coach that um raises good young men and women, right? And I'm able to teach them the game along the way and hopefully show them how to fall in love with the game, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, when I see them and they're older, like I want to have conversations like I'm having with you, right? Like, hey, remember, like, when you were playing and then we were at such and such tournament, and like, because the majority of the people, that's what they're going to experience. A
Yeah.
very small fraction of them are going to play pro, and a really a small fraction of them are going to play college as well too, because it takes a lot of things to make that happen. It's not just if you're good or not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hopefully I'm a little more informed and a better person and a better coach than I was when I first started. I would hope that, but obviously it depends on who you're asking, right? Because I'm sure that there's some people out there that may think differently, but I that's the type of person or coach I would hope to be.
Well, I can only imagine you are a fantastic coach because, like I said before at the top of the interview, you helped me fall in love with this game of soccer, and you helped me, you've instilled this wanting to pursue more of it, whether it be watching it, coaching it, and doing a podcast that involves soccer. So I mean, you've impacted my life immensely, and I'm not even one of your players, so I can only imagine as a player, you would be a fantastic coach.
Cool. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's a lot coming from you.
Well, I won't take up too much more of your time. Thank you very much for being on the podcast. You are definitely going to be on the podcast again, and we can continue. We can get into like specific topics.
Yeah.
Hey, what about this? What about this? What about that?
This is great. The only thing I'm going to say, dude, is where's Allie?
Oh, like, she's watching the dog in the other room. Because if I have them in the room with me, they just start whining. Like they'll be good for 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
They start moving around and they start making noise and then I'm like, fuck, now I have to stop. Okay.
I saw the one you guys did together. I was like, oh, dude, I thought she was gonna be on today, but no, it's cool, man. It was good to.
No.
She's like, nah.
I'm the one with the podcast, not her. Even though from time to time she goes, oh, you want to do a podcast together? You want this episode? I'm like, no, let me decide that.
Nice.
My show, okay?
My show. No, that's cool, man. But yeah, dude, I look forward to it, and look forward to seeing you soon. All right.
All right, Bubba.
All right, man. Love you.
I love you too.
All right, dude. Later.
Bye. Hey, guys. I hope you enjoyed that interview with my cousin Danny. Like I said at the top of the show, there was some stuff that I found out about my cousin Danny that I never knew, which I thought was kind of cool. So this week, more original music by me. I know you guys love this part of the show. This week I'm thinking of, let's see, I've done some island music. I've done some regtron music. I think I've done some banda too. Some techno. Have I done techno? You know what? Maybe let's do that because I don't remember doing some techno. So let me try that out. Again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week, guys. And here's some music by me. The Jesus Show, not that one. Boom, 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 boom. Bye, guys. So dumb.